So as most of you probably saw the other day, there was a showcase of a BB-8 toy, or a mini BB-8, that's made by a company called Sphero. And it reminded me of research I did last Christmas. It was just after I saw the Force Awakens teaser trailer. I thought BB-8 was really cool, and I wanted to see like how that would be implemented on Earth, like how current spherical robots are made. And I found out some really cool things and some things I hadn't seen before. So before we start with BB-8 though, there was one really cool thing that I learned that I didn't know before, which was that R2-D2 was actually supposed to be R2-D2's body on top of a ball rather than his legs with wheels on them. There are actually robots like this. I found one called the Bullbot. They are quite cool to look at. They basically work by, if the body tilts, the sensors inside it, which tells the ball to compensate. Basically the ball compensates and keeps the body upright. The issue with this, obviously, for R2-D2 specifically, is that if you don't have enough space for the ball to compensate, then you're going to fall over. Once you've fallen over, you'd have to have like rocket boosters or somebody to help you up. So back to BB-8, I wanted to know how big it was, and there'd been like a leak of a picture that showed the scale models of a few of the actors from The Force Awakens as well as BB-8, and we know the height of the actual actors. So from that and the picture, I could work out that BB-8 was like a total height of approximately 2/3 of a meter tall, and the ball was approximately 1/2 meter in diameter. But what I really wanted to know was how a spherical robot would move. The simplest way to do this is to put something like let's say, imagine a remote control car inside a ball, and the car drives forward, the ball rolls forward because the car driving forward moves the center of mass forward. It's pretty much exactly how a hamster wheel rolls forward. However, the limitation for this kind of robot is that the torque is limited because the center of mass can never be outside the shell of the robot. A really cool way of getting around this was used in a robot called the Gyrosphere, which uses a scissored pair of gyroscopes. Basically, tilting the gyros adds some torque to the total torque, but the cool part is that the torque that's added is actually a function of the angular velocity rather than the weight of the bob that it's attached to, which means that the center of mass can actually be outside the shell of the robot. Because of this additional torque, this kind of robot can actually go over quite rugged terrain, and it can actually climb stairs, which is pretty amazing. So I also looked into how you would keep the head on top of the body. So if you had like a vertical rod inside the ball, you could have two gyros on it. One was going in one direction and one just above it was going in the other direction, and they were all in line with the vertical stick. It would keep the vertical stick from moving too much. You would have a magnet on the top of the stick and some ball bearings around the magnet to keep it from touching the inside of the ball. Then on top of the ball you would have the head. The head would also have a magnet and ball bearings around, so it would stop the magnet touching the outside of the ball. The two magnets would obviously attract, and as long as the stick was upright, the head would stay on top of the ball. If you wanted the head to actually rotate, you could actually use what was used to make the Bullbots move, which is like the three actuated wheels going around the ball bearings, which would make it go in a circle, and they could also potentially be used to overcome the gyroscopic effect and actually move the head round rather than being always on top of the ball. It could go, forward or back or to the sides. So I just wanted to leave you with this. It's not that relevant to BB-8, like you wouldn't want to make BB-8 like this, but it looks pretty cool anyway. But it did give me one idea that, let's say BB-8 was like stuck in some sand or something, it was in a really big rut, it wasn't able to get out for some reason. You could potentially like have at least one bit of the shell of BB-8's ball that could come out and like create more surface area or create some form of paddle to like pull it out of these sandy areas. I mean, maybe it's not always going to be on sand, so maybe if it was only on sand like 1% of the time, the extra weight and the space it would take up inside the ball for like a mechanism like that wouldn't be worth it, but it would be an idea. Well, that's all I have for you today. I haven't looked at anything, haven't done any research for this since Christmas, so if somebody on a forum or something has come up with a really cool idea of how to make BB-8 work on Earth, I haven't heard it, but let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd really like to know.